Okay, this is the practice that we started on Tuesday. It's the assignment term 1, week 5, day 1, practicing over solving equations with variables on both sides. We took notes over this. We talked about a checklist where we checked to see if we need to use the distributive property. After that, we would check to see if we need to combine like terms. Once we verify whether we need to do that or not, we would move on to the next step, which would be to move the variable to one side. And that's because we are going to isolate it. So if there's variables on either side of the equal sign, we have to combine them together, moving them. The fourth step would be to check to see what we need to add or subtract a constant that's next to the variable term. And our final step is to use multiplication or division to isolate the variable. Okay, so we are going to go down this list for each one of these problems. Now, there is more than one way to do some of these problems, but just for explanation purposes, I always say that we're just going to move the variable that is the smallest value. Just know that that's not always the case. We don't always have to move the smallest, but that's how I explain it. So that's how we're going to do that today. All right, so we have 4b plus 5 equals 1 plus 5b. We're going to draw our line down our equal sign to separate each side. There's no parentheses, so we don't need to do distributive property. There are no combining like terms because 4b can't be added to 5. And 1 can't be added to 5b. They're not both variable terms. So now we're going to move the variable to one side. The smallest variable, or the smallest value, is 4b. This 4 is positive, so we are going to do the inverse and subtract 4b. This cancels, that's why we did the inverse of it. Bring down the positive 5. Bring down the 1. And 5 minus 4b is just 1b. This constant is being added to the variable term, so we're going to do the opposite. This 1 is positive, so we are going to subtract it. 5 minus 1 is 4, so 4 equals b. We don't need to do any division or multiplication because it's already solved for the variable. For number 2, we have 4d minus 4 equals 5d minus 8. Draw your line down the equal sign. There is no distributive property. That needs to be done. We don't need to combine any like terms on either side of the equal sign. So the next thing we do is move the variable to one side. I'm going to move the smallest variable. 4d is positive, so its inverse would be a negative. We treat that like it's subtraction. Those cancel because they're opposites. Bring down the minus 4 and treat it like it's a negative now. 5d minus 4d is 1d. We don't have to write the coefficient of 1. Bring down the minus 8. Now we need to check for addition or subtraction with the variable. We're subtracting 8, so do the inverse. Opposites cancel, bring down what's left over. Negative 4 plus 8 is 4. Okay. Number 3. We're still using that same checklist. 5 plus 14a equals 9a minus 5. Draw your line. There's no distributive property. This side, you can't add 5 and 14a. They're not like terms. The same thing's true for this other side. 9a cannot be subtracted with 5. So now we're going to move our smallest variable to the other side because we have a variable on each side of the equal sign. 9 is smaller. It's positive, so we're going to do the opposite and show that as a negative, which is subtraction. Opposites cancel. Bring down your negative 5 or minus 5 and treat it like a negative. 14 minus 9 is 5a, and bring down your 5. This is your variable term, so we're working on this side. Get rid of this constant. The opposite of positive 5 is negative 5, so treat it like it's subtraction. This cancels. Bring down your 5a. Negative 5 minus 5 is negative 10. Divide by 5 on both sides. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times a is a. Negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. Okay, our next problem, number 4. We have 12c minus 4 equals 14c minus 10. Draw your line down your equal sign. There's no distributive property. You don't need to combine any like terms on either side. So now we're going to move our smallest variable term. That would be 12. So we're going to do the opposite and subtract 12. These cancel. Bring down the minus 4, treat it like it's a negative. 14 minus 12 is 2c. Bring down the minus 10. The variable term is on the right. We need to move that constant. The opposite of subtracting 10 is adding 10. Opposites cancel. Bring down your 2c. Negative 4 plus 10 is 6. Inverse operation of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. We know to use the 2 because that's what's with the variable. 2 divided by 2 is 1. C. 1c is just c. 6 divided by 2 is 3. All right. Number 5. Okay, so there's still no parentheses here, so we don't have to work with distributive property. Okay, and so the next thing we check for is like terms. On this side, we have like terms. Negative 7 and positive 10 are both constants. They can be added together. Negative 7 plus 10 is 3. Bring down your 4m. And we have 15 minus 2m on the other side. Bring that down. Now we move our variable to one side. Negative 2 is smaller, so we're going to add 2 because we still have to do opposites to move them over. Bring down your 3. 4 and 2 is 6. Bring down your 15. Okay, the side with the variable, we get rid of the constant. This is a positive 3. So subtract 3 on both sides. These cancel, bring down 6m. 15 minus 3 is 12. Divide by 6 on both sides. 1 times m is m. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay, let's look at number 6. 16 minus 2r equals negative 3r plus 6r plus 1. We don't have distributive property, but we do have like terms. Negative 3r and 6r are on the right side, and they will need to be added together. Excuse me. Bring down the 16 minus 2r. We don't need to do anything on that side. Negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. Don't forget your variable. Bring down the plus 1. Now we're going to move our variable to one side. We have a negative 2r and a positive 3r. Negative 2 is smaller. The opposite of a minus 2 or a negative 2 is a positive 2, so we're adding. These cancel. Bring down your 16. 3 and 2 is 5. Bring down that 1. Okay, on the side with the variable term, we do the opposite with that constant. It's plus 1, so minus 1. Opposites cancel. Bring down your 5r. 16 minus 1 is 15. Side with the variable, this is being multiplied by 5. The inverse is to divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, times r is just r. 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay. Question 7. We have 16 minus 2t equals t plus 9 plus 4t. Draw your line down your equal sign. There's no distributive property again. We do have like terms. This t has an understood 1. Anytime a variable is written alone, it's understood to have a 1 in front of it. I'm going to go and write it and highlight it. And then we have 4t on the same side, so those can be combined together. 1t and 4t is just 5t. Bring down the 9, bring down 16 minus 2t. Now we're going to move our smallest variable term. Subtracting 2t, the inverse is adding 2t. Opposites cancel, bring down 16. 5 and 2 is 7. Don't forget your t. Plus 9. We are going to start to get our variable term alone. So we're going to get rid of that plus 9 by subtracting 9 on both sides. These cancel. Bring down your 7t. 16 minus 9, 7. Divide by 7 on both sides. 1 times t is t. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So t equals 1. Next one, number 8. Draw a line. There's no parentheses, so we don't have to worry about distributive property. We have like terms here. Combine those together. Negative 5 and positive 13 is 8. Bring down the 14. Bring down the other side. Smallest variable term is AE, so subtract it because it's already positive. 9 minus 8 is just 1, so it's E. Bring down the 14. Subtract 4 to get E alone. These cancel. E is left. 14 minus 4 is 10. So E is 10. Number 9. Negative 3 plus 5 plus 6g equals 11 minus 3g. Add your like terms. 2 plus 6g equals 11 minus 3g. 3 minus 3g is smaller, so add 3g. These cancel. Bring down 11. 2 plus 9g. We need the 9g alone, so move the 2. It's positive. Subtract. 9g equals 9. Divide by 9 on both sides. 1 times g is g. 9 divided by 9 is 1. Sorry, I ran out of space there. And our last one, number 10. A minus 15 equals 4a minus 3. There's no distributive property. We don't need to add like terms on either side. This is understood 1 with that a. We're going to move the variable terms together. This needs to go to one side, so 1 is smaller. I'm going to subtract 1a because it's already positive. Bring down the minus 15, treat it like a negative. 4a minus 1a is 3a. Bring down the minus 3. The variable term, we need to move the constant, do the inverse. Opposites cancel. Bring down your 3a. Negative 15 plus 3 is negative 12. Inverse operation of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1 times a is a. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. And that is the end of practice for day 1.